Hello, everyone. I am Maria Lana Queen from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I work in the Office of Public and Indian Housing, the Community and Supportive Services Division. And we are the team that manages the HUD Strong Families initiative, which is bringing you this great webinar presentation today. So I want to remind you all to check out the HUD Strong Families website, and we'll have that information towards the end of this PowerPoint. But just welcome. So today's call is all about how we provide public housing authorities free books and how we support your efforts to provide those books and distribute those books amongst your households for school-aged children. So we're very excited to bring you this information and literally to share with you how you can access some resources in addition to books. So today we have a wonderful partner with us, First Book. We have Candace Rendowski, who's the Vice President of Network Engagement Partnerships at First Book, as well as Glory Edom, who is the manager of the Nonprofit Partner Development. And we can't tell you how excited we are to offer you this information, and we'll also touch base towards the end of this presentation on our ideas for community of practice so that we stay in contact with you and we really help you distribute those free books and do some creative efforts year round. So today, as you can see, the agenda will offer you a great overview of First Book. It's pretty easy to access these books, kind of like going on Amazon and clicking the button and getting these books in your cart, and then they are shipped to you. But we'll go into details more about some background about First Book and their impact. And then, of course, we'll talk about how you all will benefit from this. And we will save Q&A towards the end to allow you to ask your questions through chat. However, please, throughout this presentation, if you have a burning question and or would like to offer some feedback, go ahead and use that chat session. And I will, without further ado, turn it over to Candace. Candace?
Thank you so much, Maria Lana, and thanks for inviting us to have this conversation with your network. Welcome, everyone. We're thrilled to be connected with you and exploring and sharing more with you about how to get more books into the hands of kids in public housing. As a quick bit of background, we met Maria Lana in 2009. And since 2009, Maria Lana and HUD have been just wonderful collaborators. We've been able to provide public housing authorities with access to thousands of free books. We have more than 2,500 individuals affiliated with public housing connected with First Book, and we'll share more about how you can sign up. It's always free. And really just looking forward to exploring with you what your goals are in your community, how we can do more together and increase collective impact in 2022. When Maria Lana reached out to suggest this conversation, she shared more about the new priorities and focus areas of HUD Strong Families, and we're just really energized to be able to connect with you and support some of those goals. So not sure how many folks know about First Book, but we are a national nonprofit 501c3 focused on ensuring access to quality education as a path out of poverty. We believe that educators and providers, all staff working in low-income communities should have access to the resources they need to help children succeed, including books, school supplies, and other essentials. We're just really excited to be connected, as I said, with you all to further understand the need and the gaps in public housing communities specifically, so that we can continue to do our work at First Book, really directing resources where the need is greatest. Over the 29-year history of First Book, we have been recognized by our peers as a leader in promoting educational equity. We're proud to be recognized as a top philanthropy on a consistent basis. So now to the why of what we do. We all know, it's no surprise to you, that book access is not equal. Low-income communities are often book deserts. There are fewer opportunities for access to public libraries, or school budgets are so low, there are fewer books in the school classrooms, and books at home are scarce. families are working multiple jobs, they're navigating reentry and other challenges in low-income communities. And so books become a luxury no matter how important they are. With an average cost of $17 per hardback or $8 per paperback at retail costs, that's just absolutely unattainable for so many families. And we know how important it is for kids to have access to books in order for them to even begin to become literate citizens and successful students in life. The importance of book access is universal, and the challenges are systemic. We have to come together to ensure that all children have a chance to read, learn, and succeed in life. And the challenges can't be addressed in isolation or as one-offs in communities as programs are developed. We really need an all-in systemic approach to improving access to books and high-quality books, relevant books, so that kids can develop that love of reading early on. We know that educators spend approximately $500,000 of their own money each year on supplies that are necessary for their classroom. We know that a lot of kids don't even have access to books that are relevant to them. So even if there are books in the classroom, do the kids see themselves? Do they see experiences that get them excited? Too few do not. We know that poverty has effects outside of the classroom that affect children's readiness to learn. And access to high quality learning materials is something that's critical to closing that gap. In addition to the pricing issue with books, there are also solutions around using books, using educational materials, applying best practices and working with kids. And those solutions are often 10 years or more in coming to low income or under-resourced communities. And so these are the issues that First Book has built systems around to address. Our model of change has been designed with capabilities to address exactly those challenges we just walked through. Our kind of 4 key levers are our network, our marketplace, our research and insights work, and our accelerator. Everything we do centers on our network. So anyone working in a Title I school or a program setting where 70% of kids reached are living in low-income families are eligible to sign up with First Book for free. There's no obligation. You just join the network and become part of the community. And we'll share more about how to do that. Once folks sign up, as I said, it's always free and no obligation. We'll never ask you to buy anything, but you then have access to resources and opportunities that First Book offers. And in addition to special events and special opportunities that often are community-based as well. So from the network, we've built the marketplace, listening to the network, understanding what the network needs in terms of resources for the kids they serve. This e-commerce site is a nonprofit site that houses our free books, our low-cost books and learning materials, as well as basic need items and other resources that educators and programs find useful when supporting educational equity. One of the ways that we curate what goes onto the marketplace is through the voice of the network. We are constantly surveying and inviting folks to join focus groups to elevate the needs in their community and let us know what they need. And that research and insights work informs what we develop for the marketplace, helps us understand the needs and the interest in the communities that we reach, and helps us bring relevant resources to that marketplace. It also helps inform resources that we can develop with other thought leaders, which is what we call our accelerator work. The accelerator is really named after that idea of the 10-year gap between the time best practices may come into the field, high quality research comes into the field, and when it reaches programs where there aren't necessarily master teachers or researchers in those programs. So the accelerator was designed to leverage insights from our network, understand the needs and the gaps, and then develop content that help support folks, caring adults working with children to address the challenges or appetites for content that they may have. And so the Accelerator resources are also found on the marketplace. They're in our free resources section. And you'll find things like toolkits and video clips and reading guides that address issues like supporting social and emotional learning or promoting mental wellness. There are free reading guides with books, toolkits on understanding trauma. And so with the network at our center, this is really kind of our big lever for change systemically, by bringing everyone under the tent and really lifting up those voices to make sure that we're getting the right resources into communities that have otherwise been under-resourced historically. Our big kind of social impact model is unifying the field, as I just said. The network is really a force to unify and aggregate feedback from the field so that your voices, program leaders, program staff, are able to elevate those issues, make them heard, so that we can share that feedback with other organizations reaching kids in need in various settings. So this is just a little snapshot of some of the partners we work with. And you can see, if you're familiar with these organizations, that they are doing work through various channels. They're, working to build home libraries in rural communities. They're connecting books and families in pediatricians' offices. They're championing teachers. They're advocating for LGBTQ rights and welcoming communities in schools. They're supporting leaders in the school system. There's a variety of approaches that leaders in the field are focused on, but we're all reaching kids who are under-resourced and historically represented. And so what the network allows us to do is bring folks from all of these organizations into one conversation so that we can really aggregate the needs and share them more broadly. To give you a sense of the size and the scope of this network, we are now at just over 500,000. I think we're around 530,000 educators, providers, program staff from the US and Canada. We have about 1,000 new members joining weekly, and opportunities to connect with folks like this one help us continue to spread the word, get the word out, and invite more folks to join us in the community. Anyone in any setting, as I mentioned, where it's, at least 7 out of 10 kids are in low-income community, or low-income families rather, pardon me, or from a Title I school, can sign up with First Book. So it's every imaginable setting, from faith-based organizations, military, homeless shelters, food pantries, after-school programs, libraries, museums, public housing authorities. We want everyone to join. And as you can see, we're reaching communities across the country in a variety of settings, rural, suburban, and urban, and in some tribal communities as well. So Gloria, I'll pass it to you to kind of kick us off on some of First Book's priorities right now.
Thank you, Candace. I'm excited to tell you about First Book's Stories for All project. This initiative has a number of goals, but the primary one is to make sure the best books representing diverse characters and voices are available on our marketplace. Through Stories for All, we are able to demonstrate to the publishing industry that there is a viable market for diverse books. And most importantly, we're able to build connection and promote empathy through the stories that we highlight. Our team, which is an awesome team, really selects the best stories and curates books that help young readers celebrate their similarities and their differences. And it's also part of our mission to ensure that these experiences highlight children of color, and they're prominent and just very at the top of mind for all the caregivers that are going into our marketplace and finding these incredible free books. So on the next slide, I'll share the examples on how we achieve this. So with diversity, we know there's a lack of diversity in the publishing industry, and we know that both equity and healing are fueled when families have diverse books. It's of utmost importance that that happens in our communities, and we want to engage children through books that allow them to have courageous conversations. So we do that by curating a great array of beautiful books in our marketplace. And we also offer educational resources. So one example of an educational resource is entitled Empowering Educators, a Guide on Race and Racism. So this resource would be available to you for free to download, and it serves as a guidebook and a tool to help participants develop compassion and confidence when having meaningful discussions about social justice. That's one example of a resource that we have in our marketplace. But these resources that are paired with culturally relevant titles really spark important, courageous conversations. And that's what we want to occur. We want people to feel confident about sharing these books and having conversations and creating more of a community. And our book team is constantly adding new titles because it's part of our commitment to expand access to diversity and inclusive titles and make sure they're actively read and they're vetted by our team as well. So you'll have books from authors like Jason Reynolds and Jacqueline Woodson, like really high quality, top tier books that are brand new and available. So we're really proud of that. And over the years, we've been able to create one of like the largest worldwide collection of exclusive books that are representative, and they're just available for kids that are in need and the adults who support them. And in addition to that, the Stories for All project is First Book's commitment to expanding the diverse and inclusive titles. So we're talking about characters, authors, illustrators, all of those things are represented in the space. And I'm really proud to be part of this team because, again, we're working with authors like Kwame Alexander and Nick Stone. Like when you go through this category, you can see all the different books that that are available on our marketplace and allow people to ask questions. And so they're available to you to participate as well. And when I say the marketplace, there's a lot of things, but I want to emphasize the free, low-cost books. Once you register for the marketplace, you have access to all the downloadable educational resources, but the books vary. So you can have board books, picture books, beginning readers, chapter books, middle grade, everything you can think of. Some of you may be interested in the Spanish and bilingual titles. There's even free downloadable eBooks. There are just so many things that you'll have access to. And the topics that you can address are around health and wellness, maybe even reluctant readers or empowering stories for women and girls. There are just so many categories that we really have given a lot of thought to make available and super accessible. I know April was Financial Literacy Month. We have that as well. We have some stories that focus on immigrant and refugee experiences, or even just difficult life experiences. So you can go through the First Book marketplace and see all these things. One of my favorite books is Black Boy Joy, which is 17 stories celebrating Black boyhood, which was written by a ton of critically acclaimed Black authors. There's also Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm sure you recognize that name because kids love the Wimpy Kid series, and that could be available at a very low cost as well. So there's just tons of things that are available throughout the different categories. And now Candace will walk us through how you can access all this great information and how you can also use our book bank.
Thanks, Glory. I love your enthusiasm. I always love listening to you talk about books because it is so clearly from your heart. Yeah, we wanted to just highlight a few of the free resources that are available. As we said, the marketplace kind of houses everything, including those downloadable resources, the book bank books that are donated by publishers, as well as low-cost books made available there too. So something that could be of great interest to this group, especially as summer approaches and kids will be out of school, is Open eBooks. Open eBooks is a partnership between First Book and the New York Public Library. The New York Public Library has curated thousands of titles for kids of all ages. It's a lending library where kids can basically check out a book. You need Wi-Fi to check it out and download it onto the phone, but then you don't have to maintain Wi-Fi once it's downloaded on the phone. And then it just kind of goes away after, I think it's 5 weeks. So it's kind of like a lending system, and it's completely free. So registered members of First Book Network can visit the First Book Marketplace. There's an open eBooks page where you request to access codes and you request the number that you need. So if you're working in an after school setting with 30 kids, or if you're overseeing resident services for a community with 500 kids, you request the number of access codes you need. You get sent a unique code for each family. You also get family letters in English and in Spanish that give directions for adults to help kids download this app onto the phone and then begin checking out books. So it's completely free. There are thousands of titles on this platform, and you don't have to have maintained Wi-Fi in order for kids to have this available to them. Another free resource is the First Book National Book Bank. This is the first model that was developed 29 years ago, when our current CEO and president had this sort of aha moment as she was volunteering in DC and realized that so many kids don't have books at home. And so when she realized that and realized the impact of that, and kind of, asked the rhetorical question, how can we possibly expect kids to start school ready, to stay on level, to develop a love of learning, if they don't even have access to the basics that their more affluent peers have? And so she reached out to publishers, developed relationships with the publishing industry, and has continued to build those relationships to establish a donation system that is now the largest and only national clearinghouse for publisher donated inventory. Books on the book bank, which again is a tab on the marketplace when you go to the marketplace. Books are donated from publishers in carton quantities. So you can see a couple of examples here. A carton of 32 animals, board books, is available for just the cost of shipping and handling. So for less than $20, folks can order 32 books. We keep them in the cartons to cut down on shipping and handling costs so that we really are able to make these as affordable as possible. And it's just a great way to have lots of books available with topics that are of interest and developmentally appropriate, and really get kids engaged. We get a lot of donations from Disney, so there's Star Wars characters and princess characters, and just some of those books that are not as curriculum focused, but get kids really excited. So over the last 29 years, this channel has grown to distribute about 12 million books per year. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, periodic community events or on the ground book distributions that we'll send out invitations for. So another reason to sign up with First Book, even if you don't have 75 cents for shipping for book bank books, you'll get notified when there are things happening in your area or special opportunities that are available to our members. Gloria, you already did a great job of diving into some of what's available on the marketplace, but you want to just highlight a couple of other sections that we have up right now?
Yeah, for sure. So, another important feature is the searchable categories, and we've really created it to make it simple for educators to browse through and look at things by topic area, by age, by sector. And I'm sure you're thinking, like, why is this important? While we provide diverse content, it's not just to allow kids to see themselves, but also to see the new possibilities for themselves. So if you're going through the category and you're looking at different careers or different creative pursuits or even life experiences, you're able to connect with them around these different categories. And right now we have an awesome webpage up that focuses on summer learning, a lot of tons of kid approved titles. So they'll recognize things and be excited to participate in pleasure reading. And then we also have a lot of STEAM reading, science, technology, engineering, arts. All those things are so important when we're thinking about how we can encourage young people to read read. And so this slide gives a snapshot of all those things available. And we understand that as busy people, funding is not only a consideration, but it's time. Time is really precious. So we do our best to really improve and revise the features so you can go really quickly to the marketplace and get the books that you want. And it's an easy and straightforward process. So we really, pride ourselves on making it really easy for you to access the information. And it's been created by amazing experts in our community. We just want to share the resources with you.
Thank you. And I should have mentioned too, and I was kind of segueing from the book bank to the marketplace, these other marketplace sections. The reason that these other sections even came into being, I noted that we started with the book bank, is because as we began building the network, and as I mentioned, we keep our ear to the ground and are constantly listening for how else we can help lower barriers to educational equity. We were hearing more and more often how great it is to receive free books, but sometimes folks in our network have particular curriculum or programming that they need to align a title with. And so, folks were asking, can we get the books we need when we need them? And we can't always guarantee that with donated inventory. And so leveraging those relationships with the publishing industry, going back to them and saying, hey, we have this huge network. We're going to be able to, purchase at really, really, really large scale. How can you help us bring these prices down as low as possible to make sure that communities that are under-resourced are getting what they need to improve educational equity? And so that's how these sections on the marketplace were born, out of requests from the network, so that if folks do have a book budget, we're helping those dollars go even further. And making sure that they're getting the exact right books when they need them. The last thing we want to highlight on the marketplace for you is a little bit more about the Accelerator. We've touched on it throughout, but this is our work compressing the time frame for education research to really impact change at the community level, making sure that it reaches communities that need this information in a way that is digestible. So it's not just about bringing the research to the communities, but really kind of working with the content creators and the researchers to produce a format that is digestible for busy educators or folks who are not, steeped in this information, but just need a little bit more. How do I help support a child who's experiencing grief and loss? How do I understand trauma a little bit better? Or just what are some fun ways to talk with kids about particular titles that I'm reading? And so working with folks like Ellen Galinsky and On Our Sleeves and other experts in particular areas, we're able to create this really wide range of free support materials for anybody in our network. There, as we mentioned, there are video clips, there are toolkits, there are reading guides, and we're continuing to work with content experts to create these materials with feedback from our network. We do focus groups, we do usability studies and conversations to make sure that what we're putting out in the world really is useful and actionable. And so this is just another free tool for anyone in our network to go onto the marketplace under that free resources section and take a look at what we've got that could be of help to you. So just a big picture snapshot. We reach about 5 million kids a year, we think, based on the number of folks who are distributing resources from First Book. To date, we've distributed 200 million books. And we believe that we are the largest and fastest growing community of educators and program staff reaching kids in low-income communities, which is just really thrilling for us. This collective power and this collective voice is really what we're all about. So now that you know a little bit more about who we are and what we do and what we're all about, we'd really love to hear from you. Wondering if folks who have joined us today have registered with First Book, what that experience was like, if you've received books from First Book, and how you're using books in your community to help you reach your goals. And as folks are chiming in, I'll turn it back to Maria Lana, who has just some great insights and ideas on ways that public housing authorities can incorporate more books into what you're already doing every day in your work. Maria Lana?
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Candace and Glory, for this wonderful presentation. So yeah, please, folks, look at the screen and see if you can answer these questions if possible, and start putting your information in chat. If you've accessed First Book in the past, that's great. We've been doing this since 2009, so we know that some of you have. We're also reintroducing this again under the HUD Strong Families initiative. So this opportunity might be new to you. However, perhaps providing free books is not new, and perhaps you've had some experiences with getting those books to children in your community. So let the chat roll and start putting in your information. I want to give you some examples, and I want to just tell you for 3 minutes how awesome this opportunity is. One, free, free, free. Most of you have to apply for funding, right, at HUD? You have to apply for funding, and then sometimes you don't even get awarded the opportunity. But guess what? This is free. As Candace just walked you through in Glory, you just go online and you start accessing your books. There are so many great examples, and I'll build on a larger initiative that we have in HUD. Some of you are part of this, the Book Rich Environments initiative, where we are providing through another initiative free books, right, to a select number of public housing authorities. But same scenario, you don't have to be a member of Book Rich Environments to do the same thing. You get books, then you are creative. You can distribute your book and create some book distribution events. So summer is coming, right? You've got summer meals you can attach to books. Kids will be at camps. You can give them books. You've got back to school events, stuff those backpacks with books. You can equip your maintenance crew as they're going in your units to fix your units with backpacks or bags of books to leave in the units. Again, free books. Recertification is an annual requirement for tenants. So you've got your tenant admissions office right there. It's likely that they're bringing a kid with them. That kid can sit down and access books. You can give them a few books free. You can even establish your own small mini library portal where a kid, as their parent or mom is re-registering, or dad, for public housing, they can sit down and read a book, borrow a book, or take a book. The goal here is to provide as many books as possible. Gerald, my colleague, yeah, thank you for muting, to provide as many books as possible to children. Get very creative. With the Book Rich Environments effort, we have known housing authorities to establish these wonderful competitive themes. Books and barbecues. So while you're having a barbecue, you're giving away books. Books and beaches, depending on where you are. If you're taking kids to the beaches, you're giving them books. We've had housing authorities do trips to the zoo, and the kids are reading books about animals, and it's just fun. Books and barbershops. We've had fathers we know are taking their young sons to the barbershops on the weekend, where housing authorities have been walking into barbershops and giving those books to the owners to distribute. We've had partnerships with libraries, okay? You've got a library in your community, right? Partner with that library. They can receive your books, and you can do a joint effort and get these books out to kids. And also, by the way, help families register for library cards. So listen, I see all of this good information coming through. Somebody said they just signed up. They're excited about the partnership. That's awesome. Someone else says that they've been doing this for a while. So keep it coming. But I just am so excited. And again, also remember, HUD Strong Families, this is becoming a household brand name. We've been bringing a lot of resources to you this year, right? First Book is just one of many, and it's an incredible opportunity just to make sure, as Candace talked about, there's equity with books, and that kids are enjoying themselves when they read. They could see themselves in these books. We've got diversity, and we're just meeting families where they are. So I can talk forever about this. This is one of my favorite partnerships, but I'm going to turn it back over to Candace. Look at all these wonderful things that are coming through the chat.
I know. I'm so happy. There's kind of a range of, like, you just heard about this for the first time, to we've been doing this. I've seen some awesome examples. Molly Kate, has anything stood out to you as you've been reviewing comments?
Yes, we've seen some great comments from through a lot of people that have never heard of First Book, which is really exciting. A lot of people there are very eager to sign up and have some great ideas as to how they would use the books. Dorothy let us know that she just registered a few days ago with First Book and that they haven't ordered anything just yet, but the registration process was very easy and that she believed there was a fantastic selection of books from what she's seen. Everybody has some really wonderful things to say. And we even had Julia said that she worked at First Book 25 years ago. It was her first job ever. And so that's just really exciting to come full circle with all of these individuals. I saw one more, they said they have accessed it, but it was a bit while ago, but they had a really great experience and are looking forward to purchasing or just accessing all of our free resources in the future.
I'm seeing there was another example of setting up a reading area in the laundry area, which is a brilliant idea. I know some other organizations are doing that kind of formally, and it makes sense. That's where families are gathered, and that's where you're going to be spending time. I'm really appreciating too, as I'm reading through here, folks saying, you know, kind of communicating with each other, already building a community, like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to try this too. So thank you all for sharing your ideas. Please continue to share and learn from one another as well. I was very heartened to see the comment that you just registered a few days ago and that it was easy. We think it's easy. The feedback we get is that it is, but we'll walk you through it now and offer you a special opportunity for joining this conversation exclusively for HUD and public housing programs. So essentially, to join the First Book Network, you'll go to firstbook.org/HUD. And we hope that you will use this link. There are other links that are directly from the marketplace or the .org site, but by using firstbook.org/HUD, we'll be able to know that you were part of this conversation in this community. And we'd just love to be able to share information with you as it's relevant and as we continue to develop partnerships through HUD Strong Families. So this is what your registration screen will look like. As we mentioned before, anyone who's working in a program serving kids in need can sign up. All public housing authorities are able to register, and I would imagine that all of your community partners are eligible to register. So once you click through the sign up now screen, step one is just your basic information. You'll know all of this off the top of your head. It's your organization type. There's program classification information. And some of these questions we ask because it helps us segment the network to make sure that we are, as I said, sending relevant messages, reaching folks with opportunities that they can take advantage of, or working with funders who say, you know, we'd like to donate 10,000 books to a public housing authority or a third grade classroom teacher. And this helps us make sure that we're able to not only share information with you that's as relevant as possible, but also direct opportunities to folks that are relevant. Second step in the process is your sort of certification, saying you verify that you are in fact eligible to work with First Book and that you promise not to sell any of the books that you get. That's a big, big, big part of our publisher agreement, is that folks are not getting these free donated books and then selling them somewhere else. The school and program information is just more detail about who you're reaching. So we understand, this helps us, for example, understand, you know, based on the makeup of our network, do we have, you know, all folks serving 0 to 3 or a wide range of folks, or where do we need to, you know, kind of focus our resources based on the ages of the kids being reached? And then that's it. Thank you for joining. It literally takes less than 10 minutes. We will never ask you to buy anything, even if you get an email with an opportunity for a new book that's $3 or, you know, a new playground play set. It's just letting you know what's available. You are never obligated to buy anything, and we will never share your personally identifiable information. So once you're registered in our network, we're never going to sell your data. We're never going to pass it on or share it with anyone who we're doing research with. It's completely confidential. And now the opportunity that we're excited to share with you guys, exclusively in partnership with HUD Strong Families, and thanks to Maria-Lana's great collaboration, we've been able to secure funding to provide $25 codes to everyone on this call. Once you're signed up, you can go to the marketplace at fbmarketplace.org, select any books you want. They could be book bank books, and this would cover cost of shipping and handling, or they could be some of those other titles. They could be anything you want, and enter HUD 2022 at checkout, and you will get a $25 credit for whatever you've put in your basket at checkout. So we hope that lots of folks will take advantage of this. We had sent out some communication as folks were registering, and a couple of folks took advantage of it, but hoping that now that you guys have met us and seen what we're about and learned a little bit more about how you can engage, that you'll take advantage of this and share it with your community partners. It's not unlimited funding, so it is while funds last, but we've got a really good pot going that should cover a lot of code uses. So just encourage you to take advantage of this while we have it available for you. So looking ahead, Maria-Lana, do you want to say more about this? This just kind of sums up sort of everything we've covered over the last hour or so. Your mute's not working. No worries, no worries. So please sign up. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was saying I was so excited. I'm feeling all of this energy throughout this chat and this presentation. So just to sum up quickly, you have the First Book website here. As Candace walked you through, really easy to sign up and go through this process. And we want to, our goal is to establish a community of practice. So beyond this call, and as you go online today or this week or in the near future to get these books, we want to work with you. We want to attempt to establish a network with you here. If we're meeting, for instance, bi-monthly or on a monthly basis, we got to figure this out, but I sense that there's some interest. We want to monitor how you're doing. Once you get these books, how can we help you take creative approaches and document what you're doing, photograph, send testimonials to HUD. If you want to do press releases, we can provide you some templates to use to really showcase your work. But the goal is to work with you in a network, a community of practice per se. And we just want to monitor your impact and what we're doing here. Again, and I see some of the chat. Can small PHAs participate? Absolutely. Small, medium, large. If you are converting to RAD, we can work with you on that. PHAs that are converting to RAD. Also, housing choice voucher households. We can give you some examples of a few models that are out there. You just simply need to know the addresses of where your families are, and then we can give you some examples of how you can coordinate. We have a housing authority through Book-Rich Environments that actually just only works with housing choice voucher households to give books to them. So very great and exciting. I think that there's a lot of flexibility here. And as long as you have the staff, we don't want to overwhelm you at all, but we have found that the key to this process is that while these books are free or practically no expense to the housing authority, it's having the committed staff to be able to go to a room, receive the books, organize them, if you will, age appropriate, and then work with a community partner or have an event to be able to call families in to receive their books or to get these books to families. During the pandemic, housing authorities got very creative with distributing books. They used like trunk retreats where, there were truckloads of books that were, filled up and families were called out social distancing to pick up books. All of that's possible. Even during the pandemic, we did very well. So your library, I see some chatting about, can your library order the books? Yes, they can. They are a nonprofit. They can order the books in partnership with you. What you want to do is make sure your families get access to those books. And so through this community of practice, we can help you out with that as well. So anyway, just fun, exciting things to build on. And the sky is the limit. We just want to, walk you through this if needed and follow your good progress. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Candace or Glory or anyone else? I see again, I see ideas here.
I know, I love it. I've been tracking too. Our colleague Molly Kate has been following along in the chat and tracking messages. I'm seeing them coming through, but Molly Kate, are there any that you want to, and thank you for sharing links. I see you responding and sharing links with folks when they're looking for the right pages. Are there any questions that have jumped out at you that you want us to answer live? And I guess I should say too, if we don't get to your question in this conversation, we will pull the chat and make sure that we're responding to everyone in our follow-up so that we don't leave questions unanswered. But we still have time, Molly Kate, if there are any that you want us to address while we're all
while Molly is doing that, Molly Kate, I just want to say there's an important question. Someone's online now trying to access free books. So Candace, we might need to go back to that screen about the free book option, because I see that someone is trying to, and they said, I don't see where I can get free books.
Yeah, so if you're on the marketplace, there's a light blue ribbon across the top of the screen, and it gives all of the different sections. And further over towards the right is the tab that says Book Bank. So when you click on Book Bank, you'll see the books. There is a price associated, but as we were kind of looking on the screen, it's about 75 cents per book, and that's just for shipping and handling. So the books themselves are completely free, and that just helps cover the cost of warehousing and getting it to you from our warehouse. So Book Bank on that top blue tab is, or that top blue ribbon, is where you'll find the Book Bank books.
So Candace, we have several questions that I think would be great if we could answer live since we have some time. One of them is from Laura. She said, when you say you'll work with us, do you mean by email personally at a later date, or how can we be contacted with their individual needs moving forward?
Great question, Laura. So we will absolutely send a follow-up after this webinar. We'll share the deck and the recording of the conversation and reinforce the links. We have a wonderful member services team. If you need individual follow-up, we're always happy to talk to you, but because so often we're in calls or meetings or in presentations like this, we're not always available for quick questions. And so First Book has a member services team of rock stars. They are First Book staff. They're not a call center. They work in the building with us. They know us all. You could call back and ask for the same person. That's their role. So whether it's through email, help@firstbook.org or 1-866-READ-NOW. If you have questions about registering or books on the marketplace, feel free to reach out to them, and that's what they're there for. 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sorry, we just changed it. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. There are folks answering calls and emails to make sure that you don't get stuck and you can keep moving. If you have larger scale needs, or if there's a bigger partnership opportunity in your community that you want to explore, here's our contact information. So absolutely feel free to reach out to whoever is most appropriate, or include us all, and we'll do our best to stay in touch as closely as possible. But if it's a marketplace related question or a registration related question, member services is absolutely going to be your best bet. They also have back-end access to those systems that we don't have, so they're actually more helpful than we are in most cases.
Mm-hmm. And Candace, can you hear me or see me? Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
good. If I could also add, I think those were my words as far as we'll work with you, because I always say that we'll work with you, we'll figure it out. This is new as far as establishing a community of practice with First Book. So I say be patient, because we see that there's a lot of interest. And what we are attempting to do is take this to the next level, not just offer you free books, but really demonstrate impact out there as far as all of your great work with distributing these books. So we hope to start, as I mentioned, a community of practice. How we do it is going to be interesting. So please be patient, because there's so many of you registered here and others who have registered but could not join the call. We've got to figure this out across the map geographic wise. Do we work regionally, like every month hold a regional call with you all in certain regions to monitor and track your book distribution events, provide additional resources, opportunities to showcase your work? How that works is being worked out through HUD and First Book. But for now, we know the first step is to get those books in your hands. And then again, even before the community of practice, if you have questions about, well, I just ordered 200 books, I'm trying to figure out how I get staff to the facility to get those books and distribute those books or organize them. That's where I say we can give you some support as far as how other housing authorities have done this in the past. So you just have to have like dedicated staff or volunteers that will be able to work with you and come in a room or space where you are receiving these books and be able to organize them into age appropriate books. And then through your normal communication, you're calling families out to certain common spaces, indoors or outdoors, having fun events. You might want to feature a Father's Day event, like I said, or a back to school event, and be able to, or job training, job fair, where working parents are coming out to apply for jobs and they may have children with them. You have books right there for those kids to take home. So again, these are just some examples, and we're just looking forward to your getting the books and hearing more from you.
Thank you for clarifying that, Marielena.
Candace, do we have a moment to possibly head back to the registration slide? We have several questions regarding organization type and just being able to navigate from either nonprofit or for-profit, as people are getting a little stuck on that first tab.
On this one?
Yes. So down in organization type, there's a couple different options. And then I'm trying to see which other questions. The program classification tab.
So yeah, and don't let these trip you up too much. These are, you won't have to show, documentation. This is a self-reported process, and we really want you to select the option that is most closely aligned with your program type. We know it's not an exhaustive list or a perfect list, but this is part of the information that helps us make sure that you are seeing opportunities that are most relevant to what you're doing. It also helps us in our auditing process, just, be able to verify that folks are in fact who they report to be and serving who they report to be. So just choose what is closest to your program type. And I know some programs also, serve, multiple roles, but whatever feels closest to your central programming or the role that you have, you can select there. I hope that was helpful.
That was great. That's great. Another question that is popping up a little bit that I'm hoping we can spend maybe a second looking at together is our Spanish and bilingual section. We've had a couple people point out that they have numerous different languages that they are working with, and they also have a couple different programs centered around that. And so I was wondering if we could just take a moment to share a little bit about the variety in languages that we offer on the First Book Marketplace, and especially the Spanish and bilingual section.
Yeah, so the Spanish and bilingual section occasionally, and I say occasionally just because they're not produced at the highest or printed, at as high a rate as books in English. And so there are fewer of them to donate from publishers, but we do get donated bilingual and Spanish titles through the book bank. And that's where it pays to keep an eye on your first book emails, because they go super quickly, as do our early childhood books. So if you get a new titles on the book bank email, you better believe people are going in there and scooping up what they need as quickly as possible. So those can be found on the book bank periodically. We keep hundreds of titles for all ages on the marketplace. So those low cost books right now, because the major publishers that we work with primarily print English, Spanish, or bilingual. That's all we offer on a regular basis on the marketplace, but we do have a team actually actively looking into right now what other publishers we might be able to work with and understanding the needs from our network. So then going back to the registration process, some of the questions include what are the first, second, and third, top languages of the kids, the home languages of the kids that you reach. That type of information is what helps us understand where the needs are so that we can begin to and continue to expand the resources that we make available through the marketplace. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that was great. Another question is, are we able to share the website with the parent so they can order the books for their children specifically?
So not yet. We kind of, those discussions have been part of our conversation for years, but at the end of the day, because our publishing agreements rely on us being able to verify reaching low-income families, and we don't have a system in place to do that for individuals, the mechanism we can use is the organization that you work with. So we don't have a direct to family option. It is through providers and educators right now.
Two more questions. The first one is, how often do you get new books in the book bank?
Great question. Several times a year. So book donations come from publishers at various times for various reasons, but several times a year we are processing new books onto the book bank. And as I mentioned, we distribute about 12 million books through there each year. And we're not down to 0 books, every time we get a new shipment. So we're constantly replenishing and then sending out notifications to our network once we've uploaded a bunch of new titles.
Great. Next question. Can our library order books from First Book?
For sure. Guidance we offer libraries because we know that service areas are really broad and it's impossible to guarantee that every person walking through the door, or 70% of the people walking through the door, would be from low-income families. And so the guidance we offer is to register using the information of programs that you might have in partnership with eligible groups. So we know a lot of libraries do visits to Title I schools or have reading hours. With
Hello, this is Quiana from Kent County Housing Commission. Did you just give us a call? Yes.
And Brianna, would you mind muting or Quiana, sorry. There we go. And so making sure that you are using our books for programming with eligible organizations, but you can register. We love when libraries register.
Yeah, And if I could add to that, as I mentioned, I gave an example of this larger pre-existing partnership that HUD has with the Book Rich Environments Initiative, and that works well, almost a requirement that housing authorities partner with a library to be able to distribute your books or books at events. And libraries have historically been a part of book distribution efforts for a very long time. But some of you have great partnerships with libraries already. They are located within walking distances of your public housing developments. What we have seen and heard about are, as I mentioned before, libraries just working jointly with you to distribute these books because they have a better capacity to receive books in their facilities. And then you just basically recruit your families to come out to get those books at events, maybe offer a summer meal or a snack, but also help households enroll, receive a library card. So you can have a double whammy. So a couple of creative approaches that you can take.
I just saw a question come through about clarifying the 70% of kids reached. And I take your point completely that most of the residents you serve are adults. Regardless, though, we know that folks living in public housing communities are low income. And so all PHAs are eligible to sign up. So you're good there. We don't have any question that PHAs are eligible to sign up.
And then also, again, if I could just add some feedback, our data at HUD shows that, yes, there are obviously a number of those who are adult leaseholders living in public housing, but a third of the population that lives in public housing are children and young people. And so you might have a leaseholder or a parent that has 2 or 3 children in one household. And that is, those are the demographics that we kind of look at. And it's totally up to you all to really look at where your priority sites would be. Where are most of your children or school-age children residing? What developments? And then targeting perhaps those developments and or working with local partners such as your Boys and Girls Club across the street. That's where kids are walking in those doors, especially after school and during the summer. The local faith-based entity or the church that's on the corner. So summer is nearing, and this is a great time to really meet children where they are. What doors are they walking through, and how can you get books in those environments? So a lot of flexibility here, totally up to you. We just want to make sure again that we help you get books and that you are creating your opportunities locally. So thank you.
Thanks, Maria-Lana. So public housing authorities are 100% eligible to sign up. I think there may have been some confusion in the language. So it's not that of the folks you reach, 70% have to be kids. It's that 7 out of 10 kids that you reach would be in low income, from low income families. So for example, if you were an after school program and you had 10 kids in your program, they might not all be from low income families, but as long as 7 out of 10 are, they would be eligible to sign up. With public housing authorities, we know that 100% of the kids are living in low income communities. So you are completely eligible. Just choose that 70%. That's your kind of golden ticket. Just choose the 70% as you're registering.
Mm-hmm.
Candace, could you just speak to the shipping timeline and what shipping looks like once you place your order on the First Book Marketplace?
Yeah, that's a tricky question these days. It used to be, and I've been with First Book for 9 years. So for 7.5 years, it was 3 to 14 days from the time you place your order. And our warehouses are in Tennessee and Pennsylvania. So, 14 days was like Alaska. Right now, UPS is delivering on extended timelines, and depending on what's happening in terms of health in the areas where our warehouses are located, some warehouses are operating at reduced staff and reduced capacity, which slows processing down. So we have kind of a disclaimer up on the marketplace right now. We're all looking forward to the day we can take it down, that says, please allow up to 20 days. And that's only because of these, kind of in the moment obstacles, challenges that are coming up. But it can be as quick as within a week, but it might take considerably longer depending on UPS and other factors.
And I also, things come to mind, I just want to quickly put a plug in. This is an opportunity for all members of the household to participate, or anyone living in your communities. For instance, we have known seniors to read to young children. Either go directly in a library or one of your community facilities. You might have a book reading day. You might have a day for parents, literally coming in to read the same book to their kids. You might have author visits. Some housing authorities have focused on food and nutrition, so they've brought in chefs. And then the kids have these books full of great recipes. Fun things, food and nutrition about gardens and growing fruits and vegetables. One site actually labeled their book effort a bookworm garden. So, they focused on fruit and vegetables, and they gave these books to kids, and the kids were able to partake in growing their own fresh fruit and vegetables. So bookworms, right? But these are things that will come up and you'll learn more about once we start the community of practice, but you can get really creative. Some of you have already registered for the USDA Summer Meals Program. We're gonna do that webinar next week, again, hosted by HUD Strong Families. As you are giving away summer meals at summer camps or taking kids on trips, provide them books. So again, I could go on and on and on about just some creative ways just to make sure every kid has a book. Oh, there are also these tree houses that are on the blocks or in the neighborhood. Some people are using the older metal newspaper boxes, filling them with books. Take a book, give a book. Sky's the limit. So.
You have so many great ideas, Marielana. I love hearing how inspired you are.
Thank you.
We had another question come through that says, can we order in bulk for age ranges without having to pick and choose each book?
Yeah, so I saw that one too. And I just went onto the marketplace because this is inventory that we sometimes have and don't always have. But we do right now, if you go onto the marketplace and search palette, P-A-L-L-E-T, we have two options right now. Sometimes there are more, but we just have two right now. One is a mystery palette, which sounds perfect if you don't want to choose anything. But it is over $10,000 in books for just $508 in shipping and handling. And these, keep me honest, Molly, Kate, do they have 1,200 books in them approximately?
Approximately, yes, they vary, but that's average.
Yeah, and so this mystery palette would be for the full, it could be early childhood, it could be young adult, it would be the full range. It would have titles for basically 0 to young adulthood. So that's our no picking titles option.
Since we have a little bit of time, do you mind digging in one more time on the difference in the free resource section and the book bank?
Sure. Yeah, the free resources section are the materials that we've created with content experts that focus on particular topic areas. So they're kind of, think of them as professional development materials or support materials for the caring adults in the lives of kids. Some of those include reading guides for books that may not be free, but the reading guide is free. So, you know, if you have The Very Hungry Caterpillar on your bookshelf in your program, you can download that conversation guide for free and use it next time you read that book. So everything on the free resources page, including the video clips, is content that we've created in response to a need that's been expressed by our network. The book bank, which is its own tab at the top of that, in that blue ribbon on the top, the book bank is where the publisher donated inventory is housed, and those are available. Those books are available in carton quantities. So it could range from 10 books per carton to 48 books per carton, depending on how the publisher packs it. And network members pay just the cost of shipping and handling. So just to cover getting it from our warehouse to wherever you are, which is generally about 75 cents per book. And let me know if you need more clarity.
I believe we've made it through all of the questions that are in the chat. Does anyone else have any further questions that might be help? Oh, great. Thank you for clarifying. Wonderful. Is there anything else that might be helpful in understanding the book bank and the free resource section separately? And then maybe while we're waiting to see if any other questions come through, there were a few questions about using the promo code on the First Book Marketplace and what they can use the promo code for, because they noticed there were a couple other things on the marketplace as well.
Those promo codes are not restricted. They can be used for anything. Easy answer.
Right.
And also, folks, as we are getting the community of practice together, in the interim, if you get books as a result of this webinar and this partnership, and you happen to host your book distribution events, and you want to share photos or just testimonials with us, please do. You have our emails here. Use any of these emails, if not all, if you want to copy us. We'd really love to see your work and your efforts out there and be able to highlight that great work. So please, in the interim of waiting until we get this community of practice together, if you're just so excited and you got your books, go for it. Start sharing your information. And then we can share that with your fellow PHAs. Maybe they're wondering like, wow, I never thought of that. I'm going to do something similar. That's the whole beauty about a community of practice, being able to share information and work together to meet a common goal here.
Could not agree more, Maria-Lana. Thank you for saying that. We love receiving those updates just in general. So many of the folks who do great work on our teams are really, you know, doing the logistics work and communicating with the warehouse and working in spreadsheets and publisher orders. And so when we're able to share thank yous and photos, it brings us all together at First Book too, to remind us all of, you know, to look up from our spreadsheet every once in a while and remember what we're all doing this for. It just brings so much joy to everyone at First Book. And if you're sharing a story that has to do with a code that you've used, especially if you're, you know, using this one at the moment, we love it when you share that as well. These codes come with no strings attached, but they give us a great chance to thank the funder and to show them too, you know, to kind of bring that joy to life and really show them what their support made happen in your community. So thanks for saying that, Maria-Lana, and please do. We love that.
I know that we're nearing, or if not beyond our time, but this is good when we could see that we still have questions going over our webinar. But I love the example of the partnership with Lowe's and Lowe's building you these mini libraries. You can see all these great ideas of how this works and how it's, you know, going to be fun. It should be fun. And I'm just very excited. you know, we're in this together. And I know that all of the Housing Authority staff members who are on this call are on this call because you're very committed and you're the resident services staff members. I have a history, and we have a history of HUD of working with some of you for a very long time. And so I'm looking forward to establishing that relationship and continuing to work with First Book, because First Book is doing some incredible things. And, you know, we just can't wait to see this partnership grow. So I can't thank you enough. Okay, and
thank you for inviting us. Thank you for this opportunity, and thanks for the inspiration for a community of practice. I think there's just incredible potential here, and really appreciate you including us in your vision, Maria-Lana.
You're quite well, and it's not my vision. It's like, I don't know what you want to call it. It is like, you know, all on deck with equity, and it's HUD's vision, but it's First Book's vision. And look at the housing authorities. It's your vision. You're on this call. We have over 200 participants today. Incredible. So we're all in this together, and it's going to be very exciting to see these books get in the hands of the children that live in our communities. So thank you. I think that's it for us.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks again to HUD Strong Families and Maria-Lana for including First Book. And thank you everyone who participated. So just really appreciate being able to join you in conversation and hear from you, and look forward to being able to provide books and work with you closely in the future.
Right. Thank you all so much.